Tom Baker's here now to present from Cogital.
Cogital, yeah.
Cogital. So Tom's going to speak about how Cogital are using 3D Repo development environment to deliver customized digital solutions to their clients.
Thank you very much. Thanks. So I'm Tom Baker. I'm software developer and technical consultant who work with Cogital to deliver this specific project we're gonna talk about. I'll just start by saying, unfortunately, Cogital co-founder Alan Waha wasn't able to be here. These first few slides are definitely more his domain, giving the background and the context to both Cogital and this project. But I'm going to go through them quickly because I think it's really important to get that context, and any other questions we can follow up with later. So Cogital, all about digital transformation within the construction industry, right product designed better, more efficiently, and operated more effectively to achieve greater outcomes for society and the environment. The team, we're a small team of individuals with a varying background in the construction and technology industry. I myself am a former software developer, moved into managing teams and now delivering software in an agile fashion. We work with clients to go through this journey, so moving them from more traditional ways of working, drawings, to moving to data and models, we might call digitization, and then going beyond that and hopefully allowing them to find new business models and supporting those new business models with software and technology. Some of the services we provide, certainly product engineering, technical consulting is my area on this. We work with a few clients every year, typically starting with a business strategy that we work with them. That leads on to BIM implementation, system integration, development of software, etc. But not always. So for L&T, we worked with Raoul to deliver training. TLG, we worked with them on the strategy and using BIM to do their portfolio management, and Deutsche Bahn, we work with them reviewing their 2025 BIM strategy. So that's the background to Cogital. As you can see here, the specific project we're going to talk about here is related to the Bund. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Bund in Shanghai. The Bund is a waterfront area with 52 buildings of varying architectural style. The client in this case manages 7 of these buildings and engaged with eCara, an Australian-based company. They're a data solutions provider to come up with a platform that would enable them to manage this. So I think one of the good parts about this project is the client didn't really care about BIM, they didn't care what BIM meant, they didn't care about Revit, IFC, they didn't care about any of that. They had a very practical reason as to why they wanted this done. And that allowed us to have a very pragmatic approach, and it kind of drove what we were trying to do. The purpose of this was to create a single source of approved and validated information on the buildings of the Bund that allowed them to do things like restoration, asset management, and to maintain the historic importance of those buildings, which I'll get onto in a second. So yeah, specific use cases. Manage renovation design through CDE. Facilities management. So there are certain pieces of functionality that they wanted very specifically around being able to manage these buildings. And then finally, using the data and models, the renovation history, etc., facilities maintenance as part of their heritage protection, which is part of the requirement for World Heritage listing. So the workflow for this starts with obviously defining a data model. You'll see how that comes into play a little bit later, and what the structure of the CDE should be. Then 2 parallel streams of work. So one was obviously the scanning of the building and acquiring that raw data. And in parallel to that, we were building the CDE in the background and building the platforms that would then eventually house that data and allow it to be used as they wanted it to be used. There is the shaping of the data phase, so a scan to BIM phase that was undertaken as part of that, and then finally them being able to use and access that data exactly how they wanted to. Drones were used to capture the outside of the building. Sorry, just worth mentioning, just to go back here, there are 7 buildings. We have only done 1 so far. So this is work in progress. So all 7 have not been done. We're just talking about that first building here, the top left. So drones was used. LiDAR-equipped drones were used to get raw data, point cloud of the outside of the buildings. that LiDAR data was taken in a separate process, and like I said, there was a separate scan to BIM process, which I won't go into here, that involved turning that raw data back into usable models. And the same was done for the interior. So both exterior and interior LiDAR and photogrammetry was taken, which is ultimately how we achieved the 3D models that were put into the platform. So now into the meat of it. So it was really important that we gave the client context and allowed them to see how this project grew. So the red building here is the building we were scanning, and this was a generic model of Shanghai that we used to import into the 3D Repo platform as a federated model that allowed them to see specifically what we were doing in context to all of Shanghai. This is the building here. So again, we utilize the features in 3D Repo, the views and issues as well within 3D Repo. And here we start to see the separation of the two user types. So we have certain types of users that really want to get into the model. They want to be able to point out issues with the model, where the scan to BIM wasn't accurate, where they wanted things changed. And this is really where the native, let's say, 3D Repo platform was very, very useful to be able to set these views and for them to be able to use the inline issue management within there, which they used heavily. So again, one type of user is in here saying how the model is either incorrect or how they want it changed, and our scan to BIM team are working in here, collaborating, making those changes, improving the model, etc. But then we get onto the second type of users. So there was a very specific use case around this project that it should be in Mandarin. It needed to be in Chinese, and they needed to be able to flick between Chinese and English very easily. We worked very closely with the 3D Repo team to ensure the back-end and APIs were capable of dealing with that character set. But the front end, we didn't really have any other option but to go ahead and build ourselves our own lightweight portal, which enabled that. So this is a lightweight web application on top. So this is almost exclusively a JavaScript application. There is a separate API in the back end to do some specific issue tracking, but by and large, this is a lightweight JavaScript application sat on top of the 3D Repo APIs. So in fact, this authentication screen is directly tying into the 3D Repo authentication. So we didn't build a separate auth system. The users are managed, their access is managed through the 3D Repo platform, and we pass through the authentication via this. So they would log in with their normal credentials into this area. Next, we needed a nice way for the client to be able to navigate through these models. Again, they're not used to using three-dimensional products, which is a great use case for 3D Repo because it is simple to use. So we've pulled in the 3D Repo viewer here, and then through their front-end JavaScript APIs, we're able to customize that interface and essentially strip off all of those tools which are normally available within 3D Repo that we didn't want the client seeing, because we wanted to be able to control that ourselves via the API calls that we were making. On the left, you can see here we're breaking down the model into its levels, and this is where the good kind of data dictionary and data cleanliness comes into play. We're using the naming convention of the tree. So again, as soon as that page loads, we're pulling in all of the items within the model. We're pulling in the tree and the hierarchy of every item within that model, and we're using that to determine which levels are there. And then we have issues here. So we are pulling in the same issues that you saw previously within the 3D Repo model. So we're using the issues API to pull in those issues, and then the only thing we're doing is we are anticipating which floor the issue lives on. So it's a kind of a crude way of doing it at the moment, where we're kind of working on a better way of doing this, but we're just simply using floor height from top to bottom. We're looking at the Z value of the issue and then just determining which floor it lives on. So it's a fairly crude but effective way of being able to place issues within each floor. So the user can just click on a floor and see all of the issues related to that floor. Don't know how I'm doing for time, probably running over. Sorry, okay. Really, really quickly then. So this is a separate maintenance issue we put in. So we wanted some extra fields. We wanted ability to say what type of issue it was, who's responsible for fixing it, extra comments fields. So this is in fact where we tapped into our own database to be able to put different maintenance issues. If you closed an issue here, it would close it in 3D Repo. If you opened it here, it opens it up in our separately maintenance. So this was our handover between refining the model and adding in this new maintenance functionality. Very, very quickly, the beauty of a lightweight kind of front end like this means we could be very agile and we could kind of throw in new functionality. So in fact, this is a work in progress piece where we're integrating with the security features of these buildings and being able to pull in live feeds of the CCTV and surveillance cameras and essentially allowing them to select those within the model and view the live feeds of that. Done. Thank you.